NXT Takeover, guys. What the
No. Don't
Anyways.
curse. Don't curse.
Welcome back to Get These Facts, ladies and gentlemen. This is your favorite host, the world's greatest host, the best host of all time, the GOAT, Michael Malachi.
Okay, you dragged it too much.
And I'm here with the famous, the world's greatest.
McGiller.
And we're back, guys. We want to talk a little bit about NXT Takeover, a slight review. We just finished watching it, actually. It just finished.
What the hell? Yo. Scoot over.
What is this guy, man?
Yo.
My goodness, sorry ladies, with technical difficulties. Give us a second here to adjust. Bruh.
Bro.
Alright.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen. Wow.
Theme music. I want to get that. I'm supposed to be
Wow.
the greatest of all time. What the? This guy's special.
Introduce me.
Anyways,
here
and
you go.
we are here with the almighty.
Illuminati.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome him. We welcome you. We're glad that you're here today,
You're
man.
here.
Wow, it's amazing to see you.
After that,
You got the extra swoop today. I can't wait. You know?
I don't know, man. After that fall, I don't know.
Yeah. After that fall, man. Tune in to Best Sell Challenge. Go to Get These Facts NYC on Instagram and see Ronaldi's fail. Illuminati's fail. Anyways, today is a special night. Because not only did we watch NXT live, and we want to review it immediately after the show, but Ronaldo swooped his hair to the side, and I got my good shirt on. And McGillard repping Undisputed, which mostly took losses tonight. But Adam Cole took an amazing win.
An amazing win.
That was an awesome win there. But I want to talk a little bit about the beginning of NXT. Because I think they could have started off a little stronger.
Well, the tag team match was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
To me, I liked it.
I liked it.
I liked
I just feel like Street Profits, I asked Illuminati this question a little bit earlier. And I told him, what stands out for you with the Street Profits besides charisma, besides promo stuff, as far as moveset? What do you remember for their moveset? And to me, it's pretty hard to remember any of their movesets besides Montez's frog splash.
It's actually nothing at all. It's just all of their charisma.
Yeah.
They're actually, I would say they're another big cast in Enzo.
Oh, wow.
Wow, and you know
That's
what
like
that,
a
you know what
shot
that
to the
led.
stomach, like Matt Riddle bro shot to the stomach.
I mean, am I lying though?
No.
What was so iconic about Enzo's moveset?
Actually, there was a lot of things. His punch combos were hilarious. His dance moves were mostly his taunts. No, it wasn't his moves.
That's not
That's
charisma.
charisma.
That's
You're
charisma.
right.
No movesets.
It just feels offensive to call them. Actually, I liked
Yes.
Enzo on 205 though. I loved Enzo on 205.
It was entertaining. I
It
would
was
say
so
that.
It was entertaining, yeah. I give it
Yeah.
that.
He probably didn't deserve any of his wins though, to be honest. But it was entertaining.
No.
No.
He didn't.
Anyway, but yeah, actually, I feel like Angelo Dawkins, excuse me for the people who are fans of Angelo Dawkins, but I feel like sometimes he is the kind of the person who falls under in the team of Street Profits because even though he's the big guy and things like that, his moveset is completely not rememberable. I mean, at least Montez has the frog splash.
I mean, Angelo Dawkins has a spear.
We saw that tonight. We saw 2 spears in a row. That was pretty okay, but it's not I don't know. For some reason, I feel like it's not a devastating spear. I feel like it's just like me tackling my little niece.
Yeah, it's like a flying hug, like Roman Reigns.
Yeah. I hate Roman Reigns.
I hate spears in general. The only person
I'm
that
starting to
did
feel that way about Super Kick.
the only person that did a great spear to me is Edge. Anybody else is
The rated R
Wait, not
superstar.
even Rhino?
not even Rhino. I
That was
didn't
a
like
gore,
the
not even a-
Yeah, I don't even like the gore like that.
Big.
Okay, the gore was actually second.
Wait a minute.
And then Goldberg afterwards.
But
Goldberg.
wait, hold on. What about Bobby Lashley? His spears.
No, they're kind of flying hugs too.
Yeah.
I think Bobby Lashley is so brolic that he needs to do flying hugs. Because
Actually,
they'll
you know
probably shatter
what? They're
some
not
of it.
really flying hugs. They're actually pretty good.
Yeah, because he kind of does like a flip at the end somehow. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hashtag best sell challenge. Someone do a spear like that. I want to see someone do a flip. Be safe. Don't try
He
this
said,
at
don't
home.
try this at home.
You might break your neck.
Yeah. Outside might be worse because of the concrete.
But no, actually, Bobby Lashley, you brought up a good point. So, yeah, maybe I need to change around my list. I don't know.
Illuminati must speak once in a while. It's rare, but once in a while.
Yeah.
But I think the match was it turned out pretty good. Street Profits.
It turned out good, but I'm just not glad of who won at the end because
I'm glad.
in the past episodes that we've been talking about, me and you, Michael, that we've been saying that this was going to be the Undisputed night.
It should have been.
It should have been.
Did not believe it at all for 1 second.
Illuminati didn't believe it. We mentioned this last podcast. Illuminati is not a fan of a lot of our predictions, and he's usually on the opposite end.
And I'm usually right too.
And today he was right. Today he was right.
For once.
Go look at our past podcasts.
I was right and I was wrong, just like you
He
said.
was wrong as well. We were all wrong in certain points.
Pretty much this takeover, it wasn't predictable.
No. And you know what? This is one thing that I mentioned earlier while we were watching that I love about NXT, because to me NXT is not predictable.
Mm-hmm.
But main roster is too predictable at this point. Like it's to the point where me and Illuminati's even spoken before about, do we even want to watch wrestling anymore? This is crazy. What's going on main roster?
If that's the case, then this podcast there will be no meaning to.
That's why we continue, because we love you guys, the people who do watch, and the people who will watch eventually. We appreciate you guys, and we want to stay here for you.
Toast to that.
Yes.
Toast to that.
Cheers.
Cheers, and he drank. What a freaking disgrace.
This is some.
He's supposed to be an alcoholic.
In Vince's words, this is good shit.
Oh my god.
Watch your mouth.
Yeah.
Right. I apologize.
Anyway, but to further on that topic, one thing I saw recently on the internet, I read this article talking about how Vince McMahon is going to be more involved in NXT now, and that might change matters. Things might become predictable now.
I'm just gonna walk away for 1 minute.
Wow.
Because of how trash that news sounds.
That does sound terrible. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, Vince McMahon.
Terrible.
You know what? I'll tell you one thing. I'll take McGillard's seat because this guy doesn't need it, and I'll probably take his drink as well.
Actually, no, never that. I'm coming back. So yeah, move. Step aside. Move. Come on.
See, this is exactly how Vince will be running NXT.
Exactly, just like that.
Cringy. But I actually hope that doesn't happen. I think Triple H is doing a great job on his own, and I don't think anyone else needs to step in on that. I think William Regal probably has some kind of influence on Triple H and some creative control as well. So I think them as a team is doing really well. And as much as we anticipated this Eric Bischoff thing and this Paul Heyman thing, as far as SmackDown's going, and even sometimes Raw, the partnership doesn't seem like it's there. It doesn't seem like they have the chemistry that we would have thought that they had. I mean, Vince McMahon has been in competition with both of these guys before in the past, so maybe their chemistry isn't there. Maybe they just aren't really good working together. And maybe they should split apart in that sense, and maybe that's a reason why Vince wants to get more involved with NXT. Maybe to step away a little bit from main roster. I don't think he wants to step away from Raw. Raw is like his baby. I've never
at
seen
this
it.
point, yeah.
But SmackDown, maybe?
It still doesn't make any sense to me why he wants to go to NXT, because, NXT is doing pretty well in itself right now.
Yeah, I think he's doing great.
And then the XFL is coming, I think, in 2 years or this year coming, so it's just like...
he has time, but it makes sense what you're getting at is basically he has too much stuff. He's spreading himself thin.
Yeah, why does he want to focus on that when he has another promotion coming up and then he still has the main roster? And I'm pretty sure he said that he's not going to stop with the main roster thing after XFL, so...
No, I doubt that.
Why would he want to continue, even get involved in NXT even a little bit?
No, I doubt that. And it's funny, too, now that you mention that, for some reason this is hitting me, but before in the previous podcast, we talked about how NXT would probably be the focus point as far as being in competition with AEW, and how NXT, as good as they're being, would destroy AEW, but maybe Vince stepping into this position might actually give AEW an advantage because Vince is just doing so terrible.
It kind of goes back to what you were saying, like in one of the previous episodes. Like, is this all works? Is Vince and AEW, are they in cahoots for this?
I mean, I've been thinking this from the jump because of the whole WCW thing. I mean, him buying out ECW and all this crazy stuff. I mean, Vince has so much power and so much influence, especially in this market. You never know what's going on behind closed doors.
You're right about that, but I mean, I don't think there's any cahoots going on now.
Maybe eventually.
Maybe not.
But you think but Vince coming in will affect the competition?
I think. Well, yeah, it will affect them. But the fact that you brought that up, I'm thinking about NXT and Fox Sports right now. So maybe that's why he wants to step into NXT to compete, because he probably thinks he will make it better, and that will be the competition with AEW.
Maybe to solidify the spot on Fox
for
NXT, because we mentioned this last podcast, or maybe not last one, but a few podcasts ago, where we were talking about how NXT was being proposed a network deal as well from Fox Sports. And not only SmackDown going to Fox, but possibly NXT following behind them. So that's a good point. Maybe Vince thinks that he's the only one who can solidify that spot with the things that he does.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, if he thinks that everything that he does is good shit, and he wants to put the good shit watch my language in NXT, if he wants to put all of that in NXT, then
I don't see that going anywhere good. It's gonna just ruin it. That's it.
It's gonna be so bad. And it's funny that we bring this up because I want to talk about one little thing. I mean, doesn't really have this kind of sidetracking here, but I think it's pretty interesting. Illuminati just showed us something. It was a quick clip video of some paparazzi talking to Big E about if he would accept a invitation to the White House from Donald Trump. And it's funny because they were just talking about inviting Donald Trump to the first SmackDown for Fox.
For Fox, yeah.
Yeah.
So would that mean that Big E is not going to show up for that SmackDown? Would that mean what's going to happen with that? I mean, what was the whole point of that comment? I think Big E maybe should have just not responded to
You
that
know
question.
what? Knowing Vince McMahon, knowing the sick and twisted mind that he had,
Probably do it.
he will probably have Trump come out there, right? Have Trump come out there and say some random stuff, saying that he's the president of the United. That would be crazy to me to have the president of the United States in the WWE ring.
That would be awesome to me. That would be awesome. Why not?
That would be mind-boggling, but
I just hope he doesn't say something political. He
will have him there. Oh my God, that would be the boos would be
insane,
astronomical.
Oh my God.
Let's just hope he doesn't. Let's just hope he doesn't strike somebody, because the last time he started attacking somebody, which was Vince himself, them punches, they were trash.
First of all, they look devastating to me.
Of course you would agree. Of course you would agree, my guy.
Let me continue on my point.
Right.
He would have Donald Trump in there, and then he will have the New Day come out and put a promo on them.
Oh my God, yeah. Probably further the story, make it a whole storyline.
If I was Big
Vince
E,
is a genius if he does something.
He is sick. He is a sick
if I was Big E, I would
Vince
freaking
is
just pick freaking hankies and just throw it at him.
Wow. Anyway, the feds are coming for this guy. Anyway.
Moving on.
But I think that's an interesting point. I think maybe that'll pull back or maybe pull forward, like you said, for the whole Donald Trump invitation. But to be honest, I don't think Trump would take the invitation to SmackDown, only because right now how much heat he has, and just because of how much they take everything he says out of context and just kind of bash him and everything. So I don't think that would be a good idea for both sides of the spectrum. For SmackDown, neither Trump, neither anyone. Maybe he probably wouldn't even take that invite. But I just found it interesting that Big E would say something like that. And if you guys want to see exactly what he said, go and check out that video. I definitely recommend it. But going forward back into Takeover, man, that was actually a good thing. I like the pay-per-view. I can't say too much, but I did like it enough. I felt like it was satisfying. But that Io Shirai match, I think that's what came next, right?
It was right up, yeah.
And the Io Shirai match, I really liked it, but I think there was a lot of botches. I feel like it could have been way better. And with the reputation that Candice LeRae has, and the reputation that Io Shirai has in the indie scene, I think that was probably more of a fail than it was a success.
It was good. It was a good match, but I don't know. I just don't see the chemistry between them two.
I don't either.
I think they just need more time in the ring with each other.
Maybe they should have rehearsed some more or something.
Yeah.
But no, they don't. I don't see much chemistry that they have.
And Io Shirai with the red hair.
Match though.
The red hair, what happened?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of
She
that.
should have kept the black hair.
They should have.
Like,
I think it was.
Was that Io Shirai or was that Kyrie saying like?
Oh,
this one,
wow.
like, yo.
First of all, oh yeah, well Kyrie does have red hair.
Yeah.
But Kyrie's hair is a lot
racist.
different. Wow.
Oh, and anyway, it was.
Kyrie's hair is a lot different than Io.
It was dark brown, but.
Yeah.
And then she put it lighter. I don't agree with it. If anything, she should have went to jet black.
And not only that, the outfit that she had, I like how the tights made her look.
I like the tights. I don't like the
tights.
neon green though.
Exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I think they should have kept her all black with the black hair, the black makeup, all that stuff. I think that was a really good image for her to change into, and I think it actually pushed her.
No, and the entrance was kind of different from the first NXT that she came in.
Right.
You
It was
know?
a lot more brighter. It wasn't so dark.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was so dark.
I didn't agree with that.
The lights
either.
were different. I didn't like that either. I think it actually set up the match to be a fail as well in a sense because we were just expecting so much from Io. We wanted her to be that dark character, and I really liked it about her. And you know what's one thing I pointed out as well about her entrance while we were watching was that now all of a sudden she's not calm. Now all of a sudden she's like spazzing out and she's doing this whole Nikki Cross.
Yeah, Nikki Cross. That's exactly. She kind of reminded me of the Nikki Cross.
Yeah. I think
she
was a little weird.
Like at first, the first time she did that entrance, she was spazzing out a little bit. She was like screaming at everybody. That was fine, but this time I felt like she did it times 10.
She overboard.
She
went
went
overboard.
OD.
Yeah.
You're
But
right
I
about
loved
that.
how she lifted her leg in the ring.
Oh,
that was
I
just
didn't want to bring that up
flexible.
because oh my god.
Yeah. Oh my god. Toast to that, by the way.
I wore my good shirt. I might have to pop one more button for that one. But yeah, I think the match was a little botchy. There was a lot of moves that looked a little bit forced. It looked a little bit weird. And I think they definitely. I agree with McGillard. I think they definitely need a little bit more practice with each
Although
other.
that fireman's carry to the Hurricane.
Oh, you were amazed by that.
I saw that. I was like, what was that?
It was actually really weird. I feel like Matt Riddle wrestles the same way, where like he'll do things that are just so unexpected and weird to even comprehend, and it's just like I don't know if I liked it. I don't know if I hated it. It's really weird.
It kind of like started. It started weird
I
at
just bought it.
first. No, it started weird at first, but then again, like it just ended well, I guess.
Yeah, I guess they kicked it off well. That's kind of like what I was saying about Velveteen Dream as well, and Matt Riddle, especially when they fought. Is that a lot of moves will look like it's on the verge of being a botch, and then they'll save it like at the last minute, and I kind of love that.
Oh yeah, that separates the amateurs from the pros.
Right, or from the bros.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nice segue to the next thing that
Next
happened.
thing that we're gonna talk. Yes.
So Matt Riddle ended up attacking Killian Dane, and they made it this whole big scene.
Well, first of all, let's talk about the fashion statement that he's trying to put out there.
Oh, that's exactly how I'm gonna.
I don't agree with that. No, I am no.
Exactly.
Yo, put some socks on.
I will.
Come on.
I will take out my feet right now.
Bro,
No. This is live right here.
Bro.
Yo.
Yeah.
Bro.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly. You need to
Come on,
shut up.
son. Come on.
I'm
What the
gonna.
hell is in your drink?
I
No,
am
for
gonna
real.
go to work with that same outfit: the shirt, the jeans, and barefoot.
I'm sending him home.
Yeah.
Your shoes need to have a back strap. That's dress code.
Alright.
And then you just tape a back strap and have your feet just bared out anyway.
Bro.
Oh my god.
And then I'm gonna call HR.
Wow.
Anyway, continuing on. Matt Riddle and Killian Dane were just. Oh my god,
They
it
were
was
just
a huge brawl.
It was
The
huge.
security came out. Matt Riddle started doing all these wrestling moves to them. Then Killian Dane just wiped them out, and then Killian Dane started wiping out security.
First Matt Riddle was wiping out a lot of the security.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like
What's wrong with him?
Yeah, I feel like his fungus is getting to his head. But I feel like his I feel like the security came out to protect Killian.
Wait. Correct me, Bob. Wait. To protect a big guy like him? Hell though.
More from the fungus than the
No,
wrestler.
okay, that I can understand.
Matt Riddle's gonna retire Brock Lesnar. So if
okay.
he's gonna retire
No,
Brock
no.
Lesnar, what do you think?
What I was
And Goldberg too.
Listen, no.
Oh,
What I was gonna say is, now you guys could correct me on this,
right.
but isn't it that you could get fined if you attack security?
First of all, we know all that security were jobbers.
Their job is for
They're all gonna become wrestlers.
Yeah,
in a
of
few
course.
weeks.
But like, but if they want to make it believable, are they both gonna get fined? Yeah.
I think the fine should be that they get rid of his bandana in all his videos, because if you saw the response from Jericho.
I don't want to, I'm not gonna do it because it's just too embarrassing to me.
It was hilarious.
It was hilarious.
But anyway, so I felt like the security came out to protect Killian Dane more because Matt Riddle was just on a crazy rampage, and then Killian Dane.
The entire highlight of the
it was the craziest attack.
He grabbed Matt Riddle and then he was like, "Yo, buddy, come over here.
Come here with me.
And just
Hold this, nigga. What you talking about? Excuse my language.
We are for that one security guard. We are praying for you.
Yeah.
Man, that was great. He literally just grabbed them for no reason.
For no reason.
That security guard is going straight to main roster. I don't care what happens. But the attack was pretty funny. And the funniest part about that attack is that we saw an article about the attack, and they labeled it so weird that I thought they changed Matt Riddle's name. They labeled it Big Matt Riddle.
Whoa.
Versus Killian Dane
Brawl. So I don't. They put big with brawl. I don't understand, but it looked really weird.
They could have just said big brawl between Matt Riddle and Killian Dane.
Yeah.
Clearly, yes.
I think it was Wrestling Inc. Guys.
We could do a way better job than them.
Your title. I'm about to start writing articles
Yeah.
just because of how much of a flop.
I don't know about that guy.
Yeah. I kind of speak crazy, but I'm a good writer. You'd be surprised. Anyways, that was hilarious to me. I hope they don't start calling him Big Matt Riddle just in
Never mind
that title.
Never that.
That's disgusting. Bigfoot Matt Riddle.
But there you go. That's a better. Yo. You might got that, man. You
Michael Cole, baby. Not the announcer, Michael Cole.
And I quote.
You heard it here first. Get these
facts,
facts.
NYC.
Drinking way too much.
I don't know what's in your drink, but
drinking way too
Anyways,
much.
let's get to the next match.
Yeah. So the next match was what?
The greatest match of the night.
North American Championship match.
I say this all the time, guys, that get these facts, and I'm starting to believe it even more, even though I believed it before. But Velveteen is the greatest wrestler in all of WWE right now. That man is the man. He is the man.
Yeah.
He's a great wrestler. His entrances, oh my God, did you see the entrance? You saw the entrance. I was here with you. You saw the entrance. It was amazing.
Yeah, all the girls coming out.
Oh my God. Who was it? The Toronto Raptors? Or what was it?
Yeah, the
Raptors.
And you didn't believe me that was his entrance.
I didn't, but
knew
I thought it was just like a little side show or something. Then all of a sudden
you
came out.
You really gonna believe that Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong gonna do an entrance like that?
No,
I just realized that's why the Toronto Raptors came out.
Because he was gonna win.
No, because they won.
Spoiler alert.
I mean that, yeah, but they won the championships this year.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Makes sense. And now they're gonna go back to Canada and do it. Anyways. The hero of Canada is Becky Lynch. But no, she's not. It's Natalia. It's Natalia with her cringy promos. No, it's probably
cringy promos. That's gonna.
It's Kenny Omega. Who is it?
Oh,
wow.
Whoa. Hold on, wait.
I don't know who it is.
It actually is Kenny Omega.
It's Velveteen Dream now because they all came out for Velveteen Dream.
I agree.
Yeah, man. And Velveteen Dream, that outfit, man. He always comes out with the greatest outfits.
Although this time he didn't come out with like
something special.
Yeah, like
an
a
iconic superstar, you know.
Although
I think it was Canadian.
It was red and white, yeah.
Yeah, it was Canadian.
Yeah, I give you that.
I still think he should have come out like with like an Owen Hart or Bret Hart, theme.
Oh yeah,
he should have done that.
That would have been awesome. At least Owen Hart, rest in peace.
Rest in peace.
The Nugget. But anyway, I love that guy. But the entrance was great. And what I love about Velveteen Dream, especially for his entrances, is that he's so charismatic. He's so hyped when he comes out. When he walks down the ramp, he's just like, yeah, like he's just so. And we don't see that much from much wrestlers. We don't see that from almost anyone at all at this point. And I think that's what really separates him and separates the boys from the men.
Like look at him and Roderick Strong, for example.
Default character number 3.
Yeah, Roderick Strong. He started to build charisma as soon as he got to the
Undisputed.
Yeah, the Undisputed Era.
Right.
And the only thing he has from the Undisputed Era is the boom.
And it takes so long.
Doesn't that take like 5 minutes long?
Yeah. He's like there for mad long, and I'm just like, bro.
You can see him waiting too.
Yeah, exactly. Can you just like run around the ring
Right.
or something?
Yo, here's a tip for you, Roderick Strong. Yo, take your time with the entrance. Take like Undertaker entrance type.
Yeah, bro.
Please,
Why not? I mean, you're a cocky bastard. You're supposed to be a cocky bastard.
bastard, right?
Bask in the glory first, and then go.
Oh, he's gonna Keith Lee now.
No. Not the Keith Lee.
That's something. No, I agree.
Yeah.
But I think his promos have gotten more charismatic.
Oh, that for sure.
But bear with me. I think he sounds like Adam Cole too much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think he's kind of just biting off of his tail.
You're right. Yeah, I think he's like stealing his swag a little bit.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes it a little cringy as well. I think even though it is a little bit better than what we've seen before from Default Character 3, but it's just a little bit.
I actually like it a little bit.
Yeah.
Only because it could turn into a whole story where he's trying to take over the
atmosphere. Yes.
Which we've seen a teaser of that.
We've seen many teasers of that, which is why I'm saying I actually like it a little bit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if he's gonna push forward to be to be a top star, he would have to
do something like
form his own swag.
Yeah. And not only that, I think eventually he'll have to separate from the Undisputed Era for that. And I think since they teased that rivalry and then kind of just ripped that rivalry away from us, because we all expected him to leave Undisputed Era, and then they just ripped that rivalry away from us by saying like, oh, I apologize, Adam, I'm sorry, and all that. Made him basically made him into a herb. So that's New York lingo for you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry, the table's bugging out. But I think that's Mitch the plant. You haven't been here for this, but Mitch. That's Mitch.
That's Mitch.
Nowdy, Mitch, Illuminati, Mitch, Illuminati.
There you go. Now you have the best friends now.
Anyway, but that match turned out great. I think that was the best match of the night. They definitely stole the entire pay-per-view. Pete Dunne, Roderick Strong, they did well. Velveteen Dream with the DVD. He always surprises me with the DVD because his cartwheel is so great. He just bounces off of the wrestler. It seems so safe, executed well. It seems devastating still. I love the way he executes it. Pete Dunne with the finger thing. I'm getting a little bit tired of it, but it's still very entertaining, so continue it for now. But one thing that got me annoyed with that match, and you know me guys, I love to complain.
What wrestling fan doesn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Was this just the monkey see, monkey do? Like, we saw everyone copying each other. We saw like enziguri, finger break or chop or whatever. Just like everything that one person did, the next person did, and then the next person, like we seen finisher after finisher after finisher. And I know it makes the crowd go wild, but it makes the people at home watching from home, which is probably far greater numbers than the crowd, it kind of makes us a little annoyed and makes us a little bored with the match. And even though it's entertaining for the people out there, like I mentioned this before, especially while we were watching to Illuminati, was that one time me and Miguel went to a show together in McGillard.
SmackDown Live.
And it was the SmackDown before Survivor Series last year or something like that.
It was a SmackDown after, actually.
After Survivor Series. And it was a great SmackDown. But I'll tell you one thing: if we were watching that SmackDown at home, we would have had a lot more criticism for all the matches and the botches or the potential botches than we did when we were on stage. Not only because we've seen it from far, but we're just so appreciative of being there, and we're just vibing off with the crowd.
Just being surrounded with so many people that
Yeah, it's just,
we all love watching wrestling.
And then you hear everyone
It's
else
phenomenal.
cheer. You hear everyone else cheer and you want to join.
Yeah, you want to join in.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
just part of the atmosphere.
We're all part of the WWE
So I think
universe.
fans watching at home can be a lot more critical and kind of give their opinion more than the fans that are even there reacting immediately.
One of the podcasts that I watch on YouTube, his name is Joe Cronin. Shout outs to Joe Cronin. He always said that whatever score you give it at home, like let's say you watch a Raw and you're like, all right, out of 10, I give it a 5. If whoever's at the show, you add 2 points higher, and that's how it actually was.
And that's exactly what. And he's fine. I never seen that guy's podcast, but I completely agree with him.
Yeah.
Because it's just so true. Once you feel that atmosphere in the show, you respond naturally. It just comes natural to you, and you don't really think about exactly what you're seeing. You're just enjoying the moment. But when you're at home, you can rewind. You can do all this crazy stuff, and it's just like I'm just far more critical when I'm home than when I'm actually in the show.
It's like another example when I went to the indie show at Hog.
House of Glory.
Yeah, House of Glory.
Shout out to House of Glory.
One of the shows that I've been to multiple shows actually, but one of the shows was the one where Samoa Joe was in.
That same night, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles.
Yeah, Samoa Joe and AJ Styles were there.
Okay.
So at the time, I wasn't a huge Samoa Joe fan because that was at the time where he was about to go to NXT.
NXT, yeah.
I think that was like his last indie show.
That was actually, yes.
His last indie show before NXT.
Yeah.
And so I knew about Samoa Joe, but I wasn't a huge Samoa Joe fan because I didn't watch TNA or anything like that.
Oh my god!
Yeah, exactly.
What's wrong with
So-
you?
It wasn't that important anyway.
So-
Wow, I am about to walk away.
I know a little bit of Samoa Joe, but I know about him. But when I was there and I saw him, I didn't even know. I know only a little bit about him. I was like, yeah, Joe.
I feel like that every
crowd.
time.
I was in the crowd and I was like hyped up because I saw Samoa Joe. Like that's how you're gonna be in the crowd, and that's another thing too. Like the crowd makes the matches. And
Absolutely.
so they have to be hyped like that.
I agree.
If you see like a whole dead crowd, the match is guaranteed to be trash.
No, I absolutely agree.
Guaranteed.
And Illuminati says this all the time. It says that every match really depends on not only the selling, not only the moves and everything that happens in the match, but mostly, probably 60%, on the crowd. Because if they don't have reaction, no matter how great the match is, the people at home watching, the people who are there, they're all going to consider the match a flop. So I have to agree with that because I'm telling you, man, there was so many things that happened when we went to shows and all this stuff where it could have been a flop, but because the whole crowd was behind it and the crowd was just a good responding crowd, everybody went crazy for it.
All it takes is for you guys to just go to a live wrestling show. It doesn't matter where. You're just gonna interact with the crowd, no matter what.
Or tune in to Best Sell Challenge on Instagram and see see some great sells.
Great
Cheap plugs.
You son of a gun.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's go on to the next match. Even though that was probably the greatest match, we could spend all day on that match.
We went from the
Freaking
greatest match of the night
Let's go to
to
the worst match.
the worst match.
Worst match.
Before we leave the greatest match of the night, I want to say one thing. The ending.
Oh my god.
What
the
an
ending was so
amazing,
amazing.
amazing
It was
ending.
great.
It was actually amazing.
Because
amazing.
Illuminati pointed this out. I mean, we all saw it, of course, but Illuminati pointed out how interesting it is that not only did Velveteen Dream land one of his finishers, which was the elbow to break up the pin, but he didn't pin the person he technically connected the elbow on. He pinned Pete Dunne, who was just given two finishers.
Two
right?
finishers
Well,
from
actually,
Robert.
the Death Valley Driver, I don't really see it as
No, that's more.
Velveteen.
That's
Is it a
more like
signature?
a signature.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he got hit with a signature and a finisher.
Right.
That's pretty much a 3-count in the
Right.
video games.
But he got hit with Roderick Strong's finisher.
He did.
Yes.
So he
Yes,
got
yeah.
two finishers.
No.
No,
The
a
signature
signature and then a
The
finisher.
finisher was on.
Alright,
Yeah.
it was the Death Valley Driver, the signature. And then Roderick threw him out, and then he picked him up again, did the finisher. What was Roderick's finisher? I'm sorry.
It's
That
definitely
stupid
like
suplex into a
into a
backdrop.
backbreaker.
Okay, yeah. I actually like that
Yeah,
finisher.
yeah, that's pretty cool.
So he did that, and then after that, I thought he was gonna get the pin, and then Velveteen out of nowhere, boom!
Boom.
I love that elbow drop. Macho Man is my favorite wrestler of all time.
And then Pete Dunne just took the pin, which was actually, I agree with that. That
was so awesome. That was a great win.
And for the fact that Pete Dunne actually took that pin after he just came back, it's pretty good.
Pretty awesome of him.
And unpredictable too.
Right, and that's what I was saying before. And even though, I will say this though, to be fair, before the match even started, I did say that I thought Velveteen would win, only because I think NXT UK can't afford to allow Pete Dunne to win a North American Championship where he'll not show up on NXT UK as often. And because he brings in, especially with his comeback, he brings in a lot of fans, a lot of ratings, and I think NXT UK wants to kind of make sure that they solidify having him only on their show. Maybe not only, but mostly on their show. So I think that was a good point, and I think that's also one reason why I knew that Velveteen was going to retain. But it didn't make me any less excited to see him retain. I love Velveteen so much that as soon as I seen that, I was going crazy. You guys saw me. I was bugging out.
So it was, even though the Undisputed, they lost the opportunity to win the tag team championships earlier that night, but I was kind of hoping that.
Obviously, he's mad about that.
I'm super pissed about that, by the way.
I'm not.
But then again, Velveteen Dream, you know, he's amazing. He's a great wrestler, charismatic, everything.
Yeah. No, he's great. But anyway, let's move forward. And the next match.
Oh, the next match. I can just describe it right now.
By getting off camera, that was great.
Oh yeah, it's because of the next match. You want to just say the match?
The next match?
Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim.
How do you want to talk?
It was that match, and that's why I just completely forgot.
How do you want to talk about that match?
Was irrelevant. That match was so terrible. I think I'm gonna leave it when I'll be here. So, no.
No, we can't do that.
No,
we can't do that.
You know, it's funny because they built up that match so much, and they pushed Mia Yim so much, and I'm not against Mia Yim per se. But they pushed her so much that you would have expected more from that match. It kind of put our expectations up here, and then after seeing that match, we were just a little bit disappointed.
At least now.
But you know what's dumb? She took out both of the girls, right?
Both of the girls, yeah.
And all she really did was just slam either a car to their arm or a locker to the arm.
Yeah, it was simple ones, simple attacks. Yeah, it was simple attacks.
Okay, fine, whatever. But couldn't they come out afterwards, like tonight? Couldn't they come out and just like try
sabotage the match?
Yeah.
That's actually
that would have been so much.
That's what I was expecting.
That would have been interesting.
A DQ or something. Why does Shayna have to win
and you know what's
all
funny?
the time?
Yeah, that's so stupid. And you know what's funny? Is that she's such a heel, she shouldn't be winning clean in the first place. And second of all, if they want to push these 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen, we know we're leading up to that eventually. I don't know what WrestleMania we'll get that, maybe next one. But if they're leading up to this, then they should be giving these 2 girls who are definitely poor performers. They're definitely not great wrestlers at the moment. They're learning. They're just getting into this. And I want to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt to say that maybe they'll get better in due time. But if they do want to push this 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen, they need to make these 2 girls seem a little bit more dominant and seem a little bit more, at least engaged in wrestling. I don't even see them on cards at all. I don't see them showing up at all anymore. I think the biggest thing or the biggest highlight in the last 2 months has been them getting attacked backstage.
I don't see every single NXT, to be honest with you, but I think I've only seen them in 1 tag team match.
Yeah, and they
That's
lost.
it.
And they lost.
To who?
They lost.
I think it was Io and Candice, was it?
I believe
it was something
so.
like that. And I just know for a fact that they're not pushing these people right, and they need to work a little bit harder on the 4 horsewomen.
That too, yeah. You know, not at the time that they're injured, they should use this time to train in the performance centers and just to better themselves.
Right, absolutely, I agree.
And it's hilarious too. How are you getting a bad push in NXT?
Oh, that's actually.
Someone called Triple H